Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 guide. So today we are taking a look at expeditions, how to start them, how to get into that whole system, and what to do when you're actually running expeditions overall, what sorts of things to expect, as well as the rewards as well. And this also ties into Atlantic City and going and exploring that area if you want to as well, because you need to get the whole expedition system running before you can actually get in the Vertebird and go visit Atlantic City. So if you're eyeballing those quests and you want to be able to head out there and have a wander around, you'll need to get through this lot too. So, here is my shiny new character. He is level 20, fresh out the vault, and wearing a few things kindly donated by my much more experienced main character, and has managed to survive his run to the White Spring. The first quest we're going to need in order to get through this is Responders Reborn. So you can see that up in the top right corner. We'll have a look at it in the Pip-Boy here. This is the quest that we're going to have to work our way through, along with a couple of sub-quests, in order to get access to the Vertebird and to be able to do expeditions and visit both the Pitt and Atlantic City. So this quest is available from train stations. There are posters in any train station you can use to activate it, or as you approach the White Spring for the first time, you should get access to this quest as well. It'll pop up. But the obvious question is, why would you want to do this? Well, before we dive into how, let's have a look at Giuseppe's Curios here, inside the refuge. This is Giuseppe here on the left, standing next to Bubbles, selling a Nuka-Cola. And Giuseppe has a massive list of unique rewards that are only accessible via the expedition system. So you can see he only trades for stamps. This is a currency that you'll get exclusively from running expeditions. And he has a whole bunch of different stuff. There's camp stuff here, there is outfits, there is armor, there is power armor, there is weapons, loads and loads of stuff, and some really fun stuff in there as well. So once a week when you complete an expedition and complete all of its objectives, especially the optional ones as well, you will get a free plan from this list. It'll vary depending which expedition you do, and it's not repeatable, but that's one thing off the list, assuming you've learned it anyway. So that's one option to get that. Otherwise, you're going to have to get stamps from expeditions, and it'll take a while. So, how do we get this kicking off then? First thing, we take a mad dash into the White Spring and dodge all the trouble, because my level 20 character here is definitely not equipped to be dealing with that. And we'll take a look at the front of the White Spring. So there we go, the resort. His first visit. And Minerva's hanging out front. She may or may not be here when you visit, depending on timing, where she sells stuff for gold bullion. But we're not interested in her for today. We're going to head on into the resort. And there we go. Next up, we have to speak to somebody in charge. That somebody would be Orlando, and they are just over here. So here's Orlando. Orlando will give you an overview of the White Spring Refuge and the presence of the reformed responders, and explain that they have a Vertebird that you will need access to if you wish to visit the Pitt or Atlantic City. And of course, they're not just going to give you their Vertebird for free, they're going to want you to earn their trust first by helping them out with a few quests. Now, previously, you used to have to do these 3 quests every time you wanted to do an expedition. Now you don't, so there's definitely a win. So, Orlando will point you in the direction of the 3 members of the responders that you need to help.
Though I believe she's less than comfortable with the title, you can find her in their headquarters, beyond the dining area. The darling chef, Miss Rousseau, needs some assistance in the kitchen, I hear. And Miss Wagner, over in the common area, is looking for donations. I'm sure your generosity will be well rewarded. When you are finished with each of them, I recommend you speak with Mr. Skippy Rorich, the Pitt Union representative.
So there we go. 3 quests that we need to do for the responders before we go and talk to Skippy. So first up, we're going to go and talk to Rucker. She's got the big quest, but we'll actually complete this one last, because the other 2, the one for Esme and the one for Sophie, both take place within the refuge, so it's just a little running around in here. So we'll nip past the kitchen here, through this storage area, and up to the back where Rucker's hanging out, and she will give us code blue.
I've heard you're looking ahead into the pit, and the only safe way out of Appalachia is that metal bird Lennox has perched up on the roof. She don't fly without my approval, and right now, you ain't got it. So, that's the deal. You bring back medical information that'll help me figure out how to help these folks. And I'll okay your little expedition.
So there we go. Rucker needs help with medical information. She's going to send you off to a location somewhere in Appalachia. AVR is quite a common one to get, which is great because it's relatively low level and easy to deal with. Although you can sometimes get sent to more dangerous places. Whether or not that'll happen in your first run out, we'll see. But yeah, be prepared. You might end up in a slightly more dangerous, medically themed location. But that is the big one that we have to do. The other two are much smaller and easier. So we're going to run back to the kitchen, talk to Esme.
Bonjour, my name is Esme Rousseau, but most people around here know me as Chef Esme.
And she wants help cooking.
And potato stew, one of my newest creations. Would you be able to help me finish it?
So this particular quest is dead easy. We just have to grab some ingredients and prepare them, and then drop them into the stew, and grab a couple more, and repeat. It's pretty quick and easy.
The ingredients can be found in our storage area. Your job is to grab the ingredients and put them in before the stew burns.
So, there we go. First up, this is a dead easy quest to complete, so we're just going to quickly stir the stew. There we go. Now we need to get the ingredients. Now, here in the back room is one of the two places you can find them, somewhere on the shelves or in the fridge. There's the carrots. Nothing else in here right now. Actually, there's the salt we'll need later down there, so remember that's there. There's the potatoes. And there's the venison. Didn't clock the pepper, but we'll find that later. So, don't actually need to talk to Esme right now. What I need to do is pound the venison, chop the carrots, wash the potatoes. Now we can chuck it all in the pot. And keep an eye on that timer, make sure it's not running down and going to cause the stew to burn. You can let it burn if you're not too bothered about it, but you might as well not. We're going to run looking for salt and pepper now, here in the back room. There's the salt.
Can't believe we got a Vertibird. That's a step up in the world if I've ever seen one.
Robot butlers? Is this a refuge or a
Pepper's here somewhere.
We could always use an extra hand around.
There we go, got it. And we'll run back and drop this in. Next, we need to add the pièce de résistance.
Now that your stew is done, it is time to add your own special touch.
So you can add a stim pack, you can add psycho, or you can add some spices. Never done the spices, but the psycho's good if you're going to give it to raiders. But if you want to give it to the settlers, which is the way I usually go, we'll chuck the stim pack in here.
Delicious and useful.
And you're more likely to be carrying stim packs as well on the whole.
To give it to would be very appreciative.
So there we go. Now we'll go to the settler representative in the bar and hand it over. And that's the job done. Nice and easy. Some people do prefer to let their stew burn, claiming it's easier or quicker or something. Personally, I don't think it's particularly difficult or a great deal quicker, so, you know. And you get a usable consumable out of it if you actually complete the quest. And as we only have to do it the one time now, it's kind of academic really anyway, it's not a big challenge. But let's take a little run over to the common room and target Sophie Wagner's little quest, Mutual Aid, and this won't take very long at all either. This is probably the easiest of the lot.
Well, hello there, stranger. Pleased to meet you. I'm Sophie Wagner.
She wants us to donate a few bits and pieces to help out the refuge. Specifically, scrap. Nice and easy. So she'll tell us what we need. It can vary from day to day, but it'll be 50 of something.
We've had a heck of a run on raw cloth, and it's really drained our stock. If you could spare, say, 50 pieces, it'd be a huge help to us.
Now, it doesn't matter if you don't happen to have it in your inventory at the time. You can always come back once you've found out what you need.
Okay.
Which is what we're going to have to do here.
In their pockets or whatever, right? I'll be here all day, though. If you want to come back.
So, conveniently, if we just have a look here, we've got a stash box and a scrap box, so if you've got it, you should be able to grab it just here. Unfortunately, I don't on this particular character have quite enough raw cloth. So, I'm going to need to top up. I need 50, I've got 40. So the simplest way to do this is just to leg it downstairs and buy it if you've got any caps. So if we nip through the bar area again, just back towards the main entrance where we came in, and talk to Orlando, hop over the balcony, and through the door we'll be in the White Springs Mall. And we can trade for a heck of a lot of stuff here. This place is brilliant for trading for so many things. But we're going to grab some bulk cloth, and that'll give me 30 units. So that's way more than I need if I get one of those. So we'll drag that across, just grab that one unit. Wonderful. So, now we'll do a quick 180, leg it back upstairs, scrap everything into my scrap box, or into your stash box if need be. And now we can just pull out the 50 raw cloth that I need when I find it. There it is. Nice.
Donations. Drop off your donations over here.
There we go. And now we can just hand in what we need. Simple as that. And if you've got the stuff in storage already, then even better, you don't need to do the legwork.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is going to be a big help.
So, with those 2 quick and easy quests done, and my character up to the dizzying heights of level 21, we're going to head over to AVR Medical and do Rucker's quest, because this is the only one that sends us outside of the refuge. AVR Medical's not too bad. The other locations aren't terrible either, but they could potentially be a little bit more dangerous. I don't think that you get sent anywhere dangerous on the first one, but I don't entirely know. So what we're going to do first is Blap the Scorched, with the combat shotgun, also donated by my more powerful character. Take a little run through AVR. If you haven't been here yet, incidentally, darn good place to scavenge for scrap and for chems and medical supplies. Handy, particularly early on. Get rid of a few bits of junk. Guy's going to run away. And we are looking for a terminal that will be marked with a quest marker, because that will tell us where we can find the medical information we need. So we come around in here. Here's the terminal. It's always the same terminal, at least in this location anyway. And we always need the first of the 2 options on that terminal. Wherever you end up getting sent, it's always the first option on the terminal. And that will mark on your HUD somewhere the doctor's bag, usually, that you need to find in order to grab the patient records. And oh look, there they are. Nice and easy. So, now we're going to just hit that fast travel button and head back to the refuge. Voila! Just like that. So we'll run back around the corner. We need to head back towards where Sophie was a little bit, because we turn this into the medics, because Rucker herself doesn't actually need the information. And here's the responding medic, who will take it away from us. And that is the 3 quests done. Nice. So the last thing we need to do, well, second to last thing, technically, is go and speak to Skippy. And this is just so that we can get introduced to what's going on in the pit before we head out there, who's in the area, and sort of what we can expect to see. So there's a whole bit of information here. If you've played Fallout 3, you might remember the pit DLC from that. And this is the same general area, but at a different point in time, so things are a bit different.
I'm Skippy Rorich. Something I or the Union can do for you? Got a couple of situations back there right now where an extra hand might tip things in our favor, at least for now.
So Skippy will tell you all about the area and what the Union need.
Fantastic. Let me just...
Then he'll call in Rucker, and she will okay your use of the Vertebird. So there we go. One short conversation later. Skippy's not looking at me for some weird reason. Rucker okays your use of the Vertebird, and we're very nearly ready to go. So, having completed that, you see the last objective has popped up in the top right there. That is Speak to Lennox. She's up on the roof, and she's the Vertibird pilot. And once we've spoken to her, we'll be ready to rumble. So we're going to whip around the corner here, past these big doors, over to the lift, bing, and up to the roof. Shoot around the corner here, and there is a Vertibird, and it's pilot Lennox. So, chat to Lennox, she'll explain who she is and about the Vertibird, and from then, when you've completed this conversation, you'll be able to jump onto the Vertibird whenever you want to, and head off and launch expeditions, or go and explore Atlantic City as well. And potentially some other locations if they add more expeditions and locations on down the line, but I don't know yet. So, dead simple to start expeditions now that they are unlocked. We need the Vertibird icon on the map here, denoted by that icon and the R, so if we hit that, we can now start expeditions and head to either Atlantic City or the Pit. So the Pit was the first one added and sent us over to the ruins of Pittsburgh. There's only expeditions to do here, so you can either go to the Trench or the Industrial District and, pick whichever expedition you happen to like. These were the first 2 added. The other option is to head to Atlantic City, where you can do an expedition, or you can explore any of the 3 zones, the districts marked here. So if you've got the side quests to do that are added with the recent update, then you want to head over there and meet people, talk to people, or explore outside of expeditions, see different NPCs and stuff, travel to districts, the option you need. But if you want to do the expeditions, which is what we're going to focus on here, hit the Start New Expedition button. So, on that note, I'm going to jump over to my main character, who's actually capable of running an expedition, because this is endgame content. It's intended to be done in groups. It's intended to be done with characters in excess of level 50. So we're going to pick up a character capable of soloing this. And we're going to head off. We're going to do the Showman's expedition, because basically it's the shortest one, and I can convey most of the information whilst we have a look at the most sensational game here. So here we are inside the Vertibird, and because this is group-centric content, You can see there are 4 slots, one for each of the characters. If you are the group leader, you'll end up in this spot nearest to the intercom. If you're on your own, funnily enough, you'll wind up in the same spot. And the first thing we need to do is request landing. So at this point, the person who we have gone to help will pop up on the radio. It's a different person for each expedition, but they will basically welcome you to their area and encourage you to come and find them when you land. So if you want to do this as a solo character, by the way, you will want to be a high level, you want a strong build, probably power armor, certainly helps, and a lot of damage output and survivability. It's not on the clock in the same way that, say, daily ops are, so you can take your time, although there are certain objectives in certain expeditions that are time sensitive, so it does vary. This one in particular is actually time sensitive, so you don't have to, but you get better rewards if you manage to do it under the recommended time limit. So Vertebird here is the chap who is giving us this expedition. He'll explain what he needs from us in terms of the main objectives, and other characters in other zones will do the same sort of thing for their own expedition. But you'll get your first couple of objectives, and they'll pop up in the top right corner, of course. So the expeditions are divided into 3 sections. There's a first set of objectives, a second set of objectives, which usually take place in a second sub-location, and then there is a boss fight at the end, or something pertaining to it. It's not always a boss fight, but usually. So we're going to see the twins here, and they're going to give us the side objectives, the optional objectives for this expedition. Every expedition will have additional side objectives. Some might be given by the main quest giver, others might be given by secondary characters. It will indicate this when you arrive in the area. So in the case of the twins here, they're going to ask us to do a couple of other bits and pieces that we'll do as we're running around. If you do want the best rewards, you do need to complete the side objectives. Particularly once per week, if you complete an expedition, including all of its optional objectives, you'll get a plan from Giuseppe's pool. Which plan you get, as I say earlier, will depend on which expedition you do, because each one has its own sort of theme and setting, so different sets of rewards are available from each one. If you complete all of those objectives once per week, you'll get a free plan. Provided you have learned the plan, you won't get a duplicate. So if you do start getting duplicates, then you know you've got all of the plans from that expedition, and maybe you want to do another one for your first one in the week, so that you get a plan that you can actually learn. You will also get stamps, which are the unique expedition-centric currency, which you will then spend at Giuseppe's store in order to buy other plans and speed your collection of the things you want along. And this is where we're going to get things like the auto axe, the Union power armor, stuff like that, which are some of the more fun things out there in the game. There's also a new sets of armor that come from Atlantic City as well, and tons of camp stuff and outfits too. So we're going to take a little run at the most sensational game here. Now we've got our objectives sorted out, I'm going to grab our power armor. Of course, that's very, very helpful. As I say, this is high-level content. The enemies are quite tough. They can put out quite a bit of damage. Sometimes. It varies depending on the expedition. And as I say, some bits are time-sensitive, so survivability is always helpful for that. But again, only parts, and it's nowhere near as onerous as, say, daily ops is. So we're going to nip through here, and because this one is one of the optional objectives is to do it quickly, now up comes the timer. So we're going to take out a bunch of the enemies and run through, working on each of the early objectives. You can see we've got some fairly durable foes here. So, taking a look at the optional objectives here, we've got to emote after taking down other competitors. So we'll see those running around here. After we take each one down, we're just going to emote. We're going to knock these sort of side objectives off as we go. Trying to cross them off nice and quickly, keeping an eye on that timer there. And sort of making our way over towards the Overgrown Keeper, who is our first primary objective. Obviously, these objectives will vary depending on where you are and what you're doing, but it will explain itself, and of course there will be a marker to show you where you need to go as well. So there we go, we've got all of the side objective done here, apart from the finish the expedition quickly one. So now we're going to run off and find the Overgrown Keeper. As a general rule, I would do the side objective first, because it's probably in the first area before moving on to the second one. If it sends you to the second one, that's fine, but, you know, make sure you don't have to double back on yourself. So, I know some people are going to be wondering why I haven't shown every single expedition and given an overview of all of them, and the short reason for that is, well, the runtime on the video. As you can see, we're already getting fairly long there. So this is the shortest expedition, and the general principle and structure that applies to this expedition will also apply to the others. The rewards list, incidentally, is very, very long in Giuseppe's store, and earning enough stamps to get everything you want, even with the weekly free drops, is still going to take a while, and it's going to require running a lot of expeditions. So, applying the principles that I'm going to go over here to other expeditions, plus the inevitable experience that's just going to come from running them in order to get those rewards, this should get you in pretty good stead, ready for those other expeditions, and hopefully keep the video to a semi-sensible length. Okay, so that is all of the objectives from Section 1 completed. Now we need to move on to a new internal location that will be housing the second part of the expedition. This is pretty much true for most of them. You'll be moving from one area to another for the second phase of the expedition, and a lot of them do take you inside a new zone. I think most of them do. There we go. For us, on this occasion, we're heading into Sherman's Pier. And we've got a couple of objectives here. We need to find Julian's teddy bear. We need to defeat Julian herself for the first time. And keep an eye on that timer. I noticed the circle there on the compass is pointing me here for Julian's teddy. There it is. Unfortunately, this helpful individual knocked me off the interaction point and straight out my power armor, because interaction and exit power armor is the same button, which is very, very helpful. But yes, give them the suitable beatdown they deserved for inconveniencing me in this way. And we'll grab the teddy bear and push on. So there's Julian, we'll take her out. Next objective. Fortunately, this one's nice and easy and is right in front of us. The second phase of expeditions usually have a couple of objectives to complete on your way through, and they'll update as you progress. So keep an eye on those compass markers and the updates in the top right corner, and you should be able to find your way through and figure out what's going on. And once you've run them a couple of times, because this is repeatable and repeated, I suppose, content, you will have plenty of practice at this sort of thing. So, on to the next section. Our next target is to claim the shark's den. So this one is a standard garden area and take out enemies objective. We have to run through the Aquarium of the Oceans. Very, very nice. Aquarium of the Atlantic, is it? I forgot the name of it now. It is quite the cool environment. It's actually, to be fair, most of the expeditions do have some very fun environments to explore. One of the fun things about the Atlantic City update, because you can also explore the areas now, you actually really get to have a look around at these cool environments they've developed, which is less so the case in the pit, which is a bit of a pity, really. But defending an area like this is a fairly common objective for the second part of an expedition, but there's a number of variations. In this case, we've got lots of enemies to take out, but certain ones have markers, and those are the ones we need to focus on. So not this guy, but we'll soon see. Here we go. There's one with a marker on. Yeah, once we get all of them, and they've been a little bit awkward about this, the fend off competitors' progress bar should top up a little bit, and hopefully we'll progress with some time left. Obviously, if you've got multiple people, this will go a lot quicker. But you'll also see more enemies spawning as well, so there is that. Okay, there we go. Nearly there. Should be over the line any second now. Nice. Now we've still got 3.5 minutes to finish this in order to be able to take advantage of the optional objective.
So close to your reward. Step up
Fortunately, that spot we had to defend is just around the corner from the final part of the expedition. Now, there are some variations on this, but generally, the last objective is a boss fight. So, we're going to head through here, into the arena, and this is where we have to fight the twins again. Now, different expeditions, obviously, different bosses, different styles, but for the most part, you will be ending with a go to a place and fight an enemy. You might have to make sure some allies don't get killed in that area, or you might be just rescuing people instead of fighting a boss. And that particular one, which is in the trench in the pit, is particularly difficult because there's a huge amount of RNG to it. But for the most part, we finish off with a fairly straightforward boss fight, assuming that you are well enough geared and ready and able to take the fight on. Victory is ours. So, all we have to do now is speak one last conversation with somebody who relates to the expedition. It might be the initial quest giver, or in this case it's Mother Charlotte, who's the head of the showman. And that will wrap up the expedition. So you can repeat these as many times as you like. You'll only get the free plan once per week, but you will get all of the other rewards each time you complete it. So there's an opportunity to farm up quite a lot of experience, actually, as well as quite a lot of legendaries and stamps and other rewards as well, which you're going to need because if you're going to buy stuff from Giuseppe's Curios, the prices are quite high in there, so it will take quite a while to get everything you want. Well, this is supposed to be late game stuff. It's supposed to be something you work towards over a period of time, so that's why that's the case. So here we are at the end. We've been dropped back near the Vertebird. In most expeditions, you will have to get back to the Vertebird under your own steam. It's just because we're so far away in this one that they move you closer to the end of the expedition, which is always helpful. We'll say for the most part, you'll have to leg it over there yourself, but they tend to loop you back around through progression anyway to get you close to it anyway, so it's not a bad run. So we'll talk to Lennox. She'll discuss a whole lot of stuff.
I saw some goon in funny clothes drop you off up there. Would have gone to check on you, but I'm not leaving the bird unattended.
Priorities, eh?
Whatever's going on here gives me the heebie-jeebies, and that's saying something.
Okay, so we'll hit the take me home, and that ends the expedition. And much like with Daily Ops, it'll return you to whatever point in Appalachia you were standing when you initially triggered the expedition from your map. So, here we go. Here's our completed sign, and you see there's a lot of detail here. So, starting at the top, sensational game is the expedition, and we completed all of the optional objectives as well, which is why we get the plan, which is Aquarium Pillar. But we get just shy of 10,000 experience, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legendary items, none of which are any good, having a look at that. But anyway, that's fairly normal, RNG being what it is. We get 20 stamps, some stim packs, some ammo, and a legendary module. And obviously, the 6 legendary items, those are standard, so every time you complete one of these with a high level of success, you should get up to 6. You'll get stamps. The number of stamps you get will vary on how many optional objectives you complete as well. And otherwise, you'll get a legendary module, you'll get stim packs, you'll get ammo as well. So, decent set of rewards that build you towards getting the coolest stuff. As I say, the plan, in this case the Aquarium Pillar, will vary depending on the expedition you did, and you will only get that for the first expedition that you complete all of the objectives for in a week. It resets Tuesday 1 PM Eastern Time. I believe that's 5 PM-ish UK time. So that's when it changes over and you get another bite at that apple. Otherwise, farm up those stamps and head over to Giuseppe's Curios, as we saw at the start, to claim whatever rewards you might want when you've earned enough of them. So there we go. That's a general overview of how the expeditions work, how they're structured and stuff. There are little variations depending on which expedition you run. They're in different locations, different styles, different NPCs and so on and so forth. But this should give you a solid grounding to head out and run those. So have a look around, have some fun with it, take your time. Earning those stamps is going to take a while, so getting everything you want will take a little while to get through. But yeah, there we go. Expeditions, not too bad really. They're not under the same time pressure usually compared to, say, Daily Ops. To say this one's an exception just because it does have that timer on it as the optional objectives. On the other hand, it's quite an easy one. It's definitely the quickest expedition anyway, so it's not too bad. So long as that is, you either have plenty of backup, or you are a high level with a decent set of power armor and some decent weaponry to go with it. Because as I say, this is supposed to be group content, it is end game content, and you need to bear that in mind. So, I hope you folks found this useful and informative. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. They're very much appreciated. Social media links, merch store, channel memberships, all that good stuff down below if you want to support the channel that way as well. Very, very much appreciated. Do hit the share button as well if you know anybody else who might be finding this sort of thing beneficial. Check out live streams if you want to join us for those. It's always good fun. I have a lot of fun playing through 76 and other games as well. We've got tons more guides and camp builds and loads of 76 content on the channel as well, so do have a look around at that. But for now, I'll say thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.